Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Fatboyz Dynasty Podcast, hosted by the Fantasyholics Podcast Network. Coming at you, as always, Bo and Brant, live on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're giving us a like, a subscribe on YouTube. Jump over, go give a like and a follow to the new and improved Fantasyholics page. Go check out the website. A lot of big things happening in the Fantasyholics world, Brant. And you and I are just very happy to be along for the ride.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got the new partnership with Underdog. We got the new website up and running. The new Facebook is back and going now. We're starting to get everyone back into it. The season's here, guys. The fantasy season's here. Preseason officially kicks off this week. I think it's Thursday is our first game. I believe it's my Seahawks that are on Thursday. The preseason's here. We finally get to see some of these rookies. Finally get to see some of this hype. I know over the next few weeks, you and me will be covering some, preseason recap as we watch a few of these games. I know we don't get too in depth in them. We do the first maybe drive, but that's about it. But it's that time of year now. It's officially here.
I just want you to know, I know you're conceited as a Seahawks fan. You guys are the second game on Thursday. There is a more important game. CJ Stroud making his debut in a Texans uniform is Thursday at 6 o'clock against the New England Patriots, followed by you guys' game against the Vikings. Then everybody else kind of starts going on Friday, and we're officially underway, Brant.
Okay.
So last week, Brant, you and I got a little spicy on the show, right? We put out our hot takes, at least our first hot takes episode of the off season here. There may be some more coming. How you feeling about those? You still feeling pretty good about what you put out last week? Anything you may want to walk back yet, or?
No, I'm not walking back yet. I'm not stepping on coals yet. Let me go back here real fast, take a little peek at them. Maybe I'm taking a few steps back on the Kincaid. Maybe I jumped on that board too much. Maybe he won't get 1,000 this year, but I still have him. Projected pretty decently as a tight end.
Absolutely, Brant. I still feel pretty good about everything where I was at. I know there were some other people who didn't necessarily agree with my Dak Prescott take, but we'll see. That's one I feel pretty strongly about. You and I had him consensusly ranked, I think, as number 7. So here we are. This week, Brant, coming at you with the tight ends. Oftentimes a disrespected position in fantasy football. A lot of people are like, get rid of them with the kickers, right? Not here with the Fatboyz. We throw some respect and some love out to the tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, and with the tight ends, it's like you hit on a few weeks ago. And if you guys missed it, there's a short out there on the Instagram and on the TikTok about our tight end feelings about punting on the position if you don't get Travis Kelce. Well, once there's Kelce, and then there's the rest. That's how the tight ends go. And I believe we both are in consensus with that when we get into our rankings as well. Excuse me. But yeah, I think it's Kelce, and then we'll start talking because the other ones they're not separated by all that much. Really, any year we have had a few years where you see like George Kittle or Darren Waller or Mark Andrews really take over as the number 2, and then 3 through 10 is the rest.
Right. All right, Brant. Let's see how the dominoes are falling for these tight ends for you and I. Are you ready to get into this? You ready to put the bibs on?
Absolutely. Let's eat.
Here we go. All right, let's get into the top 12 tight ends that you and I have projected for the upcoming season, Brant. Let's see how many similarities we have, and let's see how far apart we are on some other guys.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. I'm going to kick it off real quick with the number one. I think we both have him both at number one, Mr. Travis Kelsey. I have him for 135 targets, 100 receptions, 1,188 yards, 9 touchdowns, 272.8 fantasy points. He is my tight end one. He will be the tight end one probably till the day he decides to hang up his cleats.
Well, Brant, I'm going to tell you right off the jump here. We do agree on the number one overall tight end. Numbers are slightly different. I know when we looked at our wide receivers, you were a little higher in points than I was. I was a little lower. We'll see if this trend is flipped for tight end because it sure is to start with. I have Travis Kelsey, who you just drafted in a vampire league over the weekend that we're doing here at the Fantasy Holics.
In the first round.
I have him. Yeah, I have him at 146 targets. 104 receptions, 1,226 yards receiving, 11 touchdowns, coming in at 292.6 fantasy points.
Okay. All right. Very consensus. Yeah, 20 points difference. Well, you got 12 points. You said how many touchdowns you had? 11?
11.
Well, there's 12 of the 20 points right there. So,
and here's what it comes down to, Brant. If you remember our top 36, Kadarius Toney, I think, almost snuck into my top 36. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of, there's a lot of mouths to feed, but none of them, they're like baby bird mouths, right?
None of them are going to demand the targets.
Correct. Not like Travis Kelsey. Travis Kelsey is going to feast again this year. I don't see any way he's not the tight end one on the season, barring injury, Brant. Who do you have at number two?
Number two, I got your boy, Kyle Pitts there in Atlanta. I absolutely think he's the bounce back. I think Drake London helps him out a lot this year. I think Bijan's going to help it out a lot too and allow Pitts to be open. I think the accuracy and the chemistry there with Ritter's going to get a lot better. I have him for 120 targets, only 15 less than Travis Kelsey, but I do have him only for 75 receptions, so 25 receptions less. 924 yards, 7 touchdowns. I have him for 209.4 fantasy points as my number two tight end this year. I do believe in the bounce back for Kelsey this year. Or Pitts,
Pitts, sure. Yeah, I hope you're right, Brant. I wanted to get him higher than I have him. I don't quite have him as high as you do. We'll talk about him in a minute. I have, however, another guy that I hate. I love to root for, and I traded him last year. I hate that I traded him in a couple of leagues, actually. But I have George Kittle having a massive resurgence this year. I think if you get a whole season of Brock Purdy or a whole season of Sam Darnold or a whole season of Trey Lance or a mix of the three, the one consistent piece on this offense is going to be George Kittle. I've got him for 109 targets, 80 receptions, 965 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns, 230.5 fantasy points, Brant. I just think that there's this offense is going to be ran inside out, if you will, when it comes to the passing game. So I think the middle of the field is going to be the predominant area of work, much like what you saw with the Baltimore Ravens for the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I have Kittle as my next one. I just think, in my mind, I think the offense gets opened up a little bit more. And it's been a while since we've got to see Kittle on the field for the entire season. He's missing the games here and there. But yet he still finds a way to finish in the top 5, even while missing games. So you can't take him out of it. If he does play a whole season, I do expect numbers like you said. I have him maybe missing one game with my stuff here. I have him for 90 targets, 71 receptions, 825 yards, 8 touchdowns for 201.5 fantasy points. I still have him as a top 3 tight end, but I honestly don't think he plays the whole year.
Okay. So you've got George Kittle at your 3. At my 3, Brant, I have the tight end from the offense I just spoke about, the Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. I've got him for 125 targets, 82 receptions, 951 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns, 219.1 fantasy points. Here's the thing, Brant. If you, again, go back to our episode last week, along like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens weren't represented there. I know you and I both wanted to try to get Zay Flowers in there. I know personally you'd love to find a way to get Rashad Bateman there. Neither one of us made it happen. I do think that somebody on the outside is going to have to get involved there at some point. But I do think ultimately what happens is it gives Mark Andrews more room to work because there are decoys like OBJ, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman on the outside. And we'll see if running Lamar Jackson stays a running back in you and I's eyes, or if we give him that title of quarterback next year. He's certainly being paid like a quarterback at this point, so it's time to perform like one. But nonetheless, I have Mark Andrews coming out and having another good season.
I have Mark Andrews down a spot or two from where we're at now. So you have him at 3, you said? Yeah. So I have him down. I have him down a couple more spots, and I will express my reason why when I get down to him.
Okay.
But at my number 4 spot, I got a guy that I see a huge bounce back in almost the same reason that we talked about Kelsey. Not a whole lot of there that's going to demand targets, but this man will, and he's already becoming one of his favorites. That is Darren Waller of the New York Giants. I think he is going to be one of Daniel Jones's favorite targets. If he can stay healthy, he's another one that's hit or miss with injuries, but he still manages to keep his name relevant in the tight end world, and I really think this is going to be a really good year for him. He actually has I have him down for 98 targets, 77 receptions, 880 yards, 6 touchdowns for 201 fantasy points on my number 4 spot. So just a half a point below Mr. George Kittle there. But I think Waller is due for a huge bounce back, and I think that this is the year that the Giants really get going in the pass game, and it's going to have to go through Darren Waller.
Okay. Again, you're a little higher on him than I am. So there's been a little discrepancy here. Nothing worth arguing over yet, but there's been some discrepancies. At number 4, I have a guy, Brant, that you and I both thought was going to have a huge drop down this year. And then I started statting it out, and I'm not sure I can find a way to make it happen. I've got TJ Hawkinson of the Minnesota Vikings coming in at number 4 here. 116 targets, 81 receptions, 858 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns, 202.8 fantasy points, Brant. So it is a little bit of a letdown off of last season for TJ Hawkinson. I just couldn't get him, all the way out. Like Kirk Cousins is still under center. I think the tight end spot in Minnesota is still going to be valuable.
Okay. All right. I have him, actually was able to get him out of my top 5 when I statted it out because I think Addison demands more. But I'll get into that here in just a little bit. I'm going to come back to the Mark Andrews statting out. I have Mark Andrews at my number 5. And I think the reason is accuracy issues for Lamar Jackson. There's way too many mouths to feed now. And I still don't believe in Lamar Jackson as an actual quarterback and not a running back. So I have Mark Andrews down at my number 5 spot. I do have him seeing the 3rd most amount of targets out of all my tight ends. And I have him for 100 targets, but I only have him for 70 receptions, 812 yards, and 6 touchdowns for 187.2 fantasy points. I just don't believe that offense. I think Lamar is going to throw more. Hence why I have more targets, but I think it's also going to be around to almost everybody. And you can't just Mark Andrews for the last 2 years has really been the only thing there. You lost Hollywood Brown and then Bateman is injury all the time. You probably couldn't even name me 3 wide receivers there over the last few years. So that have played more than like 4 games like Bateman has.
Marcus Robinson.
Okay, that's one.
Torrey Smith.
Maybe.
That's a long time ago.
But I feel like now there's actual weapons around, and as long as they stay healthy, Andrews won't be the focal point of the only thing that Lamar has to throw to.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I'm staying in that division with you, Brant, here at number 5. I've got a guy that I think it's not a bounce back. It's a busting onto the scene kind of a move here. I've got Pat Freiermuth at number 5, Brant. I got Pat Freiermuth for 101 targets, 70 receptions, 805 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns, 186.5 fantasy points. Listen, here's the deal. One, I think Najee Harris is going to get back into the driver's seat in that running back. He's going to be healthy. There's going to be good run lanes for him. Opposing defenses are going to have to respect the run again. Not that they didn't last year. There was nobody to pass last year. Kenny Pickett took some time to develop. I think Kenny Pickett busts onto the scene as well this year. You and I both believe in the Deontay Johnson bounce back. I think somebody, whether it be Allen Robinson or George Pickens, is going to come on and help out. And I think Pat Freiermuth is going to be a huge red zone target for Kenny Pickett and absolutely just have a fantastic fantasy season for a tight end.
Okay. I absolutely 100% hope your numbers are right, because this is my favorite guy to grab late in drafts. I absolutely love what he brings to the table. I absolutely love what that offense is starting to put together. I love the fact that they spent the money, and I do have him in my top 10. Just not as high as you. So I hope you're right on this one, because like I said, this is one of my favorite guys in all drafts that we're doing now to grab. So I am at what, number 6? Yep. Number 6 is a guy that I believe in, and I own him in our dynasty league. And I think he's due for another good year because of that offense, and that's Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles. I have him for 93 targets, 70 receptions, 880 yards. I only have him getting 4 touchdowns, though, 182 fantasy points. That's my number 6 tight end. There's a lot of mouths to feed there, and I don't know how many games Goddard will actually play, but there's nothing really there to back him up, so he doesn't come off the field very much. So I believe Dallas Goedert's in for another, very good year for tight end.
Okay. I figured I'd see him from you at some point, Brant. I just wasn't sure when. I know you're high on him as a whole. So at number 6, I actually have a guy that you've already talked about here, Brant. Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. I have him coming in at 100 targets even, 71 receptions, 782 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns for 185.2 fantasy points. So I do too think there's a bounce back. I think there's obviously a huge touchdown progression here for him this year, as well as obviously staying healthy will be big. But ultimately, this comes down to, I think Desmond Ridder is going to have a good season this year. I think Desmond Ridder is going to prove a lot of people wrong. And in order for him to do that, Kyle Pitts and Drake London are both going to have good seasons. And so far, you and I both expect that from both of these two guys. So we'll see how it translates on the field. But again, I think Kyle Pitts is just outside the top 5, but right there.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about a guy here in Minnesota that you already talked about, and that's TJ Hawkinson. I think that Addison demands more targets. I think KJ Osborne demands a few more. I think Madison's going to be back there. So I think Hawkinson takes a step back. I have him at 98 targets, 69 receptions, 686 receiving yards. I do have him for 6 touchdowns, 173.6 fantasy points is where I have him at. That's my number 7 tight end. 173.6. Is that what I said?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I thought I misread.
All right. At number 7, we're starting to see, where I was a little higher on players, you were a little lower, vice versa. Here's a guy you've talked about again already, Brant, Darren Waller of the New York Giants. I've got him coming in at an abysmal target level, one of my lowest in my top 10, if not the lowest. It is the lowest in my top 10. I've got him coming in at 88 targets. I just don't think there's going to be a ton of passing volume in that offense to begin with. Daniel Jones runs. He's very mobile. Saquon's going to be there now that he got that extra, $100,000 on his contract or whatever it shook down to. But I've got him coming in at 88 targets, 60 receptions, 729 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns. This is where the drop-off really starts for my tight ends. I've got him coming in at 168.9 fantasy points, Brant. So for me, if I haven't got one of the top 6 guys that we've talked about, whether it be the 6 that you've talked about or not, for me, this is where I'm drawing the line between Kyle Pitts and Darren Waller. I'm not reaching for these guys at this point. I'll take a flyer at the position. This is where I'm at that I really feel comfortable adding to my flex spots or bye week fill-ins, and then I'll grab a different tight end a little bit later. But this is where the drop off is for me.
All right, absolutely. So my number 8 spot is a guy that I talked about last week. What's funny is you're talking about your guy with the lowest amount of targets. Well, this is my guy with the lowest amount of targets. I only have him for 75 total targets, but I have him for 60 receptions. I do have him for 748 yards, so almost 10 yards per target. I have him for 6 touchdowns just because the man can really break tackles and get away, and I feel like you're going to see some breakaway touchdowns from him. I have him for 170.8 fantasy points, and that's Dalton Kincaid out of Buffalo. I believe he is in for a good year. And I just think that his ability and his athleticism is what's going to really help him out. I don't know if he sees, the whole target share like, the slot wide receiver, but I just think that he's going to be able to do it with the low amount that he gets.
Sure. I guess I'm one of those what you'd consider a Dalton Kincaid truther at this point. I firmly believe that Dalton Kincaid is going to go out and have himself a fantastic season. He's going to be the best rookie tight end out of all of them. I'm firmly on board with Dalton Kincaid having a great season this year. Brant, I did not get him into my top 12 though. For me, he was just outside of it. I had him around 15. So there you go. At number 8, Brant, I have your guy that you talked about a little bit ago that is one of your favorite tight ends in football. I have Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles. I have him coming in at 93 targets, so just 5 targets above Darren Waller. And you kind of alluded to this just a minute ago, Brant, but I'm gonna go ahead and reiterate. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith are going to be the dominant possession wide receivers. They're going to be the ones just eating up all the targets that Jalen Hurts throws. And I think Dallas Goedert, for lack of better terms, is getting table scraps in comparison. I just think his table scraps are going to be high importance targets, if you will. So I think a lot of red zone for him as well. So I've got him for 93 targets, 66 receptions, 726 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns, 162.6 fantasy points. I don't know if we're having some technical difficulty with Brant right now. What we got going on here? Brant, can you hear us?
I got you.
There he is.
I got you. My camera just went blurry on me, and I'm not sure why. I just tried to change the settings, so I must have muted it by accident. So that was your number 8 guy. All right. So I'm at number 9. I apologize for this guy's going on. I'm not 100% sure what's going on. I'm trying to fix it at the same time. My number 9 guy, I have Mr. Cole Kmet there of the Chicago Bears. I have him for 84 receptions. I've talked about this. I believe in Justin Fields. I believe in that Bears offense. I've hyped it. Well, this is going to be the guy that's going to see the second most targets in that offense. In my mind, I think DJ Moore sees the most, and I think Cole Kmet sees the next. I have him for 84 targets, 66 receptions, 680 yards, and 6 touchdowns for 170 fantasy points. And that's my number 9 guy there. I absolutely believe in that offense this year. I think they take a huge step forward.
Okay, Brant. Cole Kmet's definitely a guy I'm going to talk about in a minute. I really like where you're at on Cole Kmet. I think you and I have both been waiting on his breakout to kind of happen for a few years now. It hit somewhere towards the end of last season. It was just like, okay, he's got an instant connection with Justin Fields. Justin Fields, that's his guy when he rolls out, kind of like Russell Wilson used to have Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin. That's kind of what Fields is with Kmet. I love that there. So I'll talk about it a little bit deeper here in a minute. At number 9, Brant, I have another one that I think you're probably going to be on a similar page for me in this, just because you believe in the bounce back for the quarterback so much. But at number 9, I have Greg Dulcich out of Denver. I have him coming in at the same amount of targets that I had for Dallas Goedert for 93 targets, 59 receptions, 725 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns, 161.5 fantasy points. Again, I think that Russell Wilson can't be any worse than he was last year. So for me, Brant, the thought here is that Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Greg Dulcich are all going to have to be, guys that get the ball thrown to them. Russ is going to have to look for these guys, frequently and often. And I think Greg Dulcich is just one of those guys that I think he's going to end up finding a nice little fit with Denver. Again, we saw some really positive stuff out of him last year in his rookie season with Denver. In my mind, if the sky's the limit, I think he just keeps on going.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another guy that I have in my top 10. I'll talk about here shortly. I don't have him as high as you do, obviously, but I do believe in that offense and their amazing bounce back. I'm still trying to mess with my camera here. Did that fix it up a little bit?
There it is.
All right. I don't know what happened there. All right. So
you put a frosted cover over yourself like you're in a shower or something.
All right. So where am I at? I'm at number 10, right?
10.
All right. Sorry for all the technical difficulties tonight. It's been a weird one already for me. Number 10, I got Pat Fryermuth. You've already talked about him. I see him seeing 95 targets, 62 receptions, 741 yards, 5 touchdowns, 166.1 fantasy points. I like Fryermuth this year. Once again, I like what they've done with that offense. So yes, I do believe in the Pat Fryermuth bounce back. Breakout, bounce back, whatever you want to call it. He had a good year, sneaky good year last year. I think this is the year that a lot of people learn his name and actually know who he is starting next year. I think that's the year he really burst onto the scene.
Okay, fair enough. Brant, at number 10, I've got a guy who I expect to be an absolute crutch of a player for his rookie quarterback. I think his rookie quarterback's going to be looking this guy's way, just as often as he possibly can. At number 10, I have Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans. Brant, I think this is going to be CJ Stroud's favorite target when it matters. I've got him for 90 targets, 63 receptions, 679 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. I've got him coming in at 160.9 fantasy points. So just 0.6 of a point between him and my number 9 guy. So Dalton Schultz, Brant, rounding out my top 10. I wonder if this is one you even got in your top 12.
Surely did not get him in. I don't believe in anything in that offense. That's one offense that's my Green Bay offense this year. I got to see what's really there before I can believe it. Just like we didn't believe in any of those wideouts last year. That's where I'm at with the Texans. So my number 11 guy is a guy that burst onto the scene. He's an athletic freak. He was great in New York when he was healthy, and now he's down in Jacksonville with the young quarterback, and that's Evan Ingram. He's a guy that I really like. He bursted on late last year. I have him for 90 targets, 68 receptions, 675 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Oh, that would be a lot of touchdowns. 165.5 fantasy points. I think he's another guy that's just going to be a solid week-to-week player. I don't think he's going to burst out for 20, 30 points a week for you, but I think he'll be a solid tight end throughout the entire year.
So sometimes I guess 2 heads are better than one, or in this case, 2 bellies. Brant, at number 11, I have Evan Ingram. I've got Evan Ingram for 89 targets, 67 receptions, 670 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns, coming in at 158 fantasy points. So you and I are just basically 1 5-yard reception and target that ends in a touchdown from having the same exact deal here. So there you go. Evan Ingram going to have a good season down there in Jacksonville again.
So my number 12 guy you talked about. I've talked about how I believe in this bounce back of the offense. That's great. I'm not even going to do it right now. It's been a bad night. It's the Denver tight end. Great. 86 targets, 69 receptions, 655 yards, 4 touchdowns, 158.5 fantasy points. That's my number 12 tight end. I think he's going to be a solid tight end there in Denver. He'll be just fine to be added late in drafts.
Okay, Brian. So yes, Greg Dulcich. It's a good thing you didn't have Chigo Okonkwo from Tennessee in there, because we just had to guess at what you were talking about. So fair enough. I too have a guy you've talked about here at this point, Brant, at number 12. I've got Cole Kmet. I've got him for 73 targets. Again, this is my lowest of anybody in my top 12. I just think that there's not going to be much passing volume in that Chicago offense, obviously. I've got him for 57 receptions, 615 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns, 148.5 fantasy points. So again, I think that there's a chance that I still think he's the number 1 target behind or for Justin Fields in front of DJ Moore. We'll see. But Brant, it finished where you were higher in points than I was. It started where I was higher, and we kind of just met in the middle and then swapped and took off. So, but nonetheless, almost the same guys. We had 11 of the same and 1 different here. So, not too bad, Brant, when all things are considered.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I figured our lineups there from 7 to 12 is going to be completely different. I'm really surprised we're only missing 1. And mine is I've got to back up the hot take that I said, and I do believe in Kincaid in that offense, and I don't trust Houston. So that's really the only difference there, because I went back and looked at the rest of the tight ends that I did look at outside of top 12, and Schultz was sitting there at number 13, I think it was. So he was just right outside of mine.
Sure. All right, Brent, give us a quick recap 1 through 12. I'll give my recap, and then we'll get into something a little more fun.
Give me just a second. I just minimized it out. There it is. My number 1, Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, Dallas Goedert, TJ Hawkinson, Dalton Kincaid, Cole Kmet, Pat Freiermuth, Evan Ingram, and the tight end there in Denver, because I'm not trying to attempt this tonight. I've already had camera issues, technical difficulties. If I end up messing this name up, I might just get kicked off live.
The whole computer might catch flames, Brent. At number 1, I have Travis Kelce as well, George Kittle, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Pat Freiermuth, Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, Greg Dulcich, Dalton Schultz, Evan Ingram, and Cole Kmet, Brent. So that wraps it up for our tight end rankings, if you will. We've started at quarterbacks. We worked all the way through it, Brant. The brains are fried. I don't know if we're going to have enough juice to get through the remainder of the off season, but preseason football go a long way with refreshing the old melons. So now this is something you and I are starting to get really excited about now that this is becoming a weekly play, Brant. And that's referring to the marriage, if you will, the partnership that we're in currently with Underdog Fantasy. Again, where you use the code HOLIX at your initial donation or your initial deposit, and they will double your money up to $100 on your initial deposit. Again, that's promo code HOLIX, Brant. So are you ready to get our picks of the weekend?
Absolutely. Let's get them in. Let's play.
All right, Brant. So yeah, this is definitely outside of my home leagues that I'm just extremely passionate about, outside of, wanting to beat all my coworkers and my family and my friends in football. This is the next best thing. This is one of my favorite things. I enjoy getting up on Sunday mornings before kickoff, going and look at games and things. But right now, almost even a little more exciting than that is season long plays, Brant. And we've got some good ones here to talk about today. You started us off first with your tight ends. I'm going to kick us off first here with the higher or lowers that we're going to today. And Brant, I know you and I said that we were going to tail each other. So I've got my handy dandy pen written down here. I'm going to go, whatever you go, I'm going to go ahead and go put it in on the computer afterwards and see how you do.
Okay.
So,
all right.
You ready to get started?
Yep.
All right, here you go. First one I got for you, Brant. We both just talked about his tight end in the last episode at the quarterback position. Kenny Pickett, does he have more or less, higher or lower than 2.5 300-yard passing games?
Oh, man, you took my idea. I was going to steal a couple of those after I saw them on there. 2.5 300-yard passing. Give me higher because of the offense they have to play against and everything else. I absolutely think that he'll probably go over 300 yards at least once against Cincy. I think he will go over it once against Baltimore. Then he's just got to find another one in 15 weeks. Give me the over on that. I like that for 300-yard passing games.
Yeah, I too took him to go over on this, Brant. Again, when we have one of his wide receivers in Deontay Johnson in our top 36 wide receivers, we have his tight end in our top 12. We have a huge bounce back for his running back. Everything points to he has to find a way to get it done in the air as well. And he's got too good of a wide receiver core not to have a few of these games, even if it's by accident. So I've got him for over 2.5 as well, or higher than 2.5 as well.
I like it. Excuse me. So when I did these, I went outside. I tried to go outside of what projections we already did this time. That way we had to use the old noggin here when we're doing this. Okay. This first one here, we did do projections for. It was a running back, and that is Travis Etienne, because 950.5 rushing yards. Over or under 950. I was shocked when I saw the number. I'm actually going back to double check to make sure I did not write it down wrong because I'm still shocked on that number.
Brant, I think honestly I'm going to go under here. I think I think we both had him just over that number. I think it's been a while since we've done our running backs, nor has it been a while since I've looked at it. But there's just too many things going on. I think that passing offense is going to be way too prolific. I'm just not sure how many carries he's going to get a game, and I just think he could finish just south. And I'm talking like over 900 yards rushing still at this point.
Okay. All right. I think it's going to be rough for him to get there. I think Bigsby will have a few carries there. That's going to have a lot to say. That's a really high number. I know you and me both are proud owners of him in dynasty leagues. So I know we would love to see him go over it. I know they're coming out saying he's going to have 1,300 rushing yards is what the coach is saying. I don't think he gets there though.
Okay. All right, Brant. I've got my next one for you. This is also by way of a running back. We've both statted this player out as well, and we're both high on his coming out party this year. That's Rachaad White of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Brant. How are you feeling? Higher or lower than 4.5 rushing touchdowns?
That's just rushing, not total, just rushing.
4.5 rushing touchdowns.
Give me the over. I don't see anybody there to really take the goal line carries away. I don't see Tom Brady doing too many sneaks there. Give me the over there for White for 4.5. I could see him getting 6 to 7. So, yeah, I'll take the over on that.
All right.
All right. This one here, my little homer pick. I saw this on there, and I knew I'd have a little fun with it. This is Jackson Smith-Njigba. 57.5 receptions, over or under receptions.
So JSN higher or lower than 57.5 receptions, Brant? I'm going to take him under. I do think this is a player that in the dynasty community is going to be so impactful, and he's going to be a guy you have to draft early in dynasty and rookie drafts, just because he's going to be super good in the future. But right now, I think there's still too much Tyler Lockett, still too much DK Metcalf. I'm taking the lower on this. I don't think he gets to 57.5. I think he's close. I think he's in the 50s. And there's a reason underdogs putting these stats where they're putting them, right? Because they want us to jump at them. I just don't see him going over that this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that ball is going to be spread out a lot. I believe that he'll go lower than that. I do believe that ball will get spread out quite a bit. And I think even the tight ends are going to see quite a bit of love there in Seattle too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see everyone go lower than their numbers.
So, Brant, this next one I'm going to hit you with again. I didn't go the way you did. I kind of went with guys that we talked about in our shows before, because this is a way of putting our money where our mouth is. But if this number is correct, you and I are either way too in love with the player or underdog just sold on your boy. Adam Thielen, 575.5 receiving yards for the season.
Over or higher, right? Higher.
I mean, the explanation's simple, right, Brant? Jonathan Mingo, Hayden Hurst, DJ Chark. Yes, there's some competition here, but who's the best wide receiver out of that bunch that's been there, done it several times over?
You always see a rookie lean on a veteran, and this is a guy that loves to work. We've seen it in Minnesota. We saw it as he went undrafted. We saw it in college. We know this. That he's out there. He's working. He's in putting work, and I guarantee he's staying after practice. He's putting in work with that quarterback. He's definitely going to be, in my mind, I really believe he will be higher than that number.
Okay, perfect, Brant. All right, take me through your last one.
Last one. We're going to your team, your buddies. We're going to the Atlanta Falcons. Higher or lower than 4.5 receiving touchdowns for Mr. London?
4.5 receiving touchdowns for Drake London. Well, Brant, I know that you and I both took him for higher than 4.5. So I think it would be very cowardly for me to walk that back and plant my flag on the lower side of this, but I'm not going to. It's higher for me. I think this is a guy that could easily get to 7-8 this year. Again, I think Desmond Ritter's going to open up the offense. No more Marcus Mariota in town. And I know I speak for the entirety of Falcons Nation when I say we're all very, very happy. We don't care who's under center. Just don't give us Marcus Mariota again. And the better thing for me too, Brant, and I got to get this in while the getting's good. Matt Ryan's been working out with Desmond Ridder this offseason too, which I am absolutely enthralled by. Giving him his cell phone number, letting him know, hey, anytime you need me, I'm here. If you want to help me, if you want me to help study plays, whatever the case may be. And, I'm just glad to see Matt back involved anyway, but him buying into the quarterback makes me all the more confident as well.
Yeah, I believe in the hire there as well. I think your offense will be opening up the playbook quite a bit, letting them air the ball out. You can't get any worse than Mariota's accuracy. I don't think you can. So I believe in your offense taking a step forward.
One last thing I want to ask you here, Brant, and this one you don't have to tail if you don't want to. Derrick Henry. Higher or lower than half of a receiving touchdown this season?
Higher. And you could tell me I don't have to tail it, but I've already tailed it. It's in one of my other ones. I saw that. I saw that. How many times have we seen this man take a 80-yard screen to the house or more? I think it's very simple to see him take it at least once.
Not very often, Brant. The answer is not very often. I took it before I went and looked at the stats as well. He's got 3 career receiving touchdowns. He's going into his 8th season, and he's got 3 receiving touchdowns.
Are you serious? I feel like that's wrong.
3. He had 2 in one season and 1 in another, and he's going into his 8th season. I thought the same thing when I saw it, Brant. I was like, oh my goodness, this is free money. Why is Underdog doing this? And that's how they get you. I went back and looked at it. Not so obvious.
0 receiving touchdowns last. You are right. Wow.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. Half of a receiving touchdown. I mean, I feel like I could go out for 17 games and catch a touchdown, but I'm also not 6'2" and built like a brick shit house like Derrick Henry is. So,
well, let's just say, guess what? He hasn't done it since 2019. He's due, baby. He's due.
He's due. So again, when you're going on and checking out Underdogs, make sure you're using the code HOLICS. Double your money up to $100. Again, they're giving you free money to have fun for the season. Again, Brent, when I'm sitting watching a Thursday night game and it's teams like the Houston Texans against the New England Patriots, I got to find something to get myself a little more involved. And Underdog's been much in the clutch for me in games like that.
Absolutely. It keeps you involved a little bit more.
It absolutely does. So another little spot of technical difficulty there for you. It's just not been the week for the Fatboyz. Next week will be much better. We got people accidentally clicking buttons over here. Got cameras getting blurry. It's not even an R-rated show, Brent. I don't know why they're blurring you out. It's not. You kept your shirt on.
Hey, Mike went on mute, and I didn't curse. I just don't get it. But even with the technical difficulties, us Fatboyz have made it through. And as always, guys, stay hungry.
Stay fat, my friends.